Unified School District stands divided over issues bigger than education. And CCN's Curtis Peak gives us an insight on what the weather will look like for the holiday week. All this next on the special edition of CCN Crown City News. Your news, your neighborhood, seconds away.
Live, work, play, and shop in the North Lake Village. Join us for our 4th annual Christmas in the Village, Saturday, December 10th, 6 p.m. at La Caravana, 1306 North Lake Avenue, Pasadena, honoring Paul Little. Visit nlvba.org.
Hello everyone, thank you for watching CCN Crown City News. Your news, your neighborhood. I'm Sehnita Joshua Mattison. In the special edition of Crown City News this evening, we tackle issues of race and equal funding in the local school system from the perspective of parents, students, former students, and one local attorney who's represented kids in the PUSD. You can join the discussion by calling us at 626-794-2116 or visiting the Crown City News Twitter and Facebook accounts. But first, let's check in with this CCN meteorologist, Curtis Peak, and see if those storms brewing all around the Southland over the weekend are gone for good, or if there'll be other turkey on Thanksgiving. Curtis, what do you have for us?
You know what? I think we are going to see a little wet turkey out there. Good evening, Azusa, Alhambra, La Cañada, Flint Ridge, San Gabriel Valley. I hope everyone had a great day today. After that radiational fog burned off this morning, it turned out to be clear. But guess what? Tomorrow is going to be warmer and clearer. All right, as we take a look outside, we had a high today of 62 degrees. Our low tonight is going to be 48 degrees. Normally, we are at 71 degrees. As you can see, we are about 9 degrees below average. But like I said, we are going to see a clear and warmer Tuesday. But on Wednesday, we are going to see clouds move in. And on Thursday, we are going to see a little rain out there. So if you need to do any shopping for Thanksgiving, get it all done tomorrow and also get it done Wednesday earlier in the day. As we take a look right now, we're seeing we are at right now our high right now 62 degrees. Winds are out of the southwest at 5 miles per hour. Our humidity, look at 73%. Our barometric pressure is holding at 29.85. Your sunrise tomorrow morning is going to be at 6:24. Your sunset tomorrow afternoon at 4:49. That's an early sunset for us. Our lows tonight, as you can see, 47 in Monrovia. Look at Arcadia, 42 degrees. It's getting chilly out there, 45 in El Monte and West Covina. Our highs for tomorrow, it's not going to warm up a lot, but just a little bit more, 62 today, 70 in Monrovia and Arcadia. This is what's happening right now. We are going to see this storm begin to come in. This is what we're going to begin to watch as the week does progress. This is this low that's sitting off the Gulf of Alaska that's going to make its way down. How much rain we're going to get, I don't know right now because it's too early in the week to forecast that, but we are going to see some rain late Thursday afternoon, mostly after lunchtime. So, you'll be at home with your fireplaces and with your family. As we take a look at our 7-day forecast right now, we are going to see 69 degrees on Tuesday. Wednesday, we do warm up a little bit. This is a story right here. 59 degrees on Thursday. It's going to be a chilly Thanksgiving. And like I said, we are going to have a little rain on our turkey. But Friday, things begin to warm up just a little bit, back to where we should be this time of year, 75. Sunday is going to salvage the whole weekend, 77 degrees. And look at Monday, 75 degrees. Tomorrow night is going to be our coolest night at 47, 50s across the board. I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe out there. And Sehnita, back to you.
Thanks, Curtis. And we will make lemonade out of those rains and call it a cozy Thanksgiving. Now on to our CCN special on race and equal funding issues in our local school system. Earlier this month, Pasadena parents crowded into the PUSD school board meeting asking for justice and equality in the education of their children. But the Black Male March, led by African-American attorney and newspaper publisher Joe Hopkins, caused some concern in the Latino community. A contentious board meeting followed with accusations that the school board president, Renata Cooper, wasn't giving equal time to Latino voices. At the root of the division is a recent incident with the John Muir football coach, Ken Howard, who is African-American and who was placed on leave after an altercation with a Latino student during a security search. Although the LA County District Attorney would not file charges against Howard, the Pasadena City Attorney has filed a misdemeanor battery charge. Now we learn from the District Attorney's Office that they have filed a misdemeanor charge of disturbing the peace against the Latino boy. Hopkins, the head of the Pasadena NAACP, police, and the school district all declined to join our discussion today, but we do know some closed-door meetings are expected to take place about some of these issues soon. Those unafraid to discuss some of the issues getting in the way of the kids' educations in an open forum like ours here at Crown City News are here, and we're happy to let their voices be heard. We'll touch on issues of race, achievement, and the distribution of Title I funding today. Thank you all for being here. We have Phillip Koebel, an attorney who has represented some PUSD students against the school. And we also have Ishmael Trone, who is a parent of a student at PUSD. We also have some alumni of PUSD who we will talk to later. But let me start with you, Phillip. You heard about, were you at the meeting, the school board meeting?
Yeah, I was at the meeting.
Okay.
It was great. It was a meeting where I think just about every one of my friends in town was at the meeting, with just very few exceptions. And
right. Did you think that they had legitimate concerns?
I want to be very clear that there's concerns about the achievement gap between Latino families and black families. There's concerns about the achievement gap because students are underperforming. But I also want to be exceptionally clear that I don't think that there's any division that exists between Latino families and black families in this district. I think of all the places in the city, the only place that actually strives for and achieves racial harmony are the schools.
Okay. Well, now some people were talking about the distribution of Title I funds, and they're saying that's where the inequality is, that, you know, a lot of those Title I funds are being used for programs such as English as a second language, you know, those kinds of programs, whereas programs for African American students aren't being funded. What do you think about that?
I really didn't. I'm not trying to be duplicitous. I really didn't hear it that way. I heard it that Mr. Hopkins and Mr. Brown, Joe Brown, and the other African American men that were on the march were, and there were a lot of other people there on the march too that were not particularly African American. I think the call was raised by Mr. Hopkins to be there, and so we were there. The message that I heard out of it, there definitely was some tension in the meeting. There's no doubt about it. It was kind of a surprise at various times. But the message that I heard about it was, look, if the school district is effectively achieving Title I funding or whatever funding, a special funding for working on the achievement gap for Latino students, why can't the school district have that same success in trying to get funding for African American students? And I think that's a perfectly legitimate position. I want to be clear that I believe that this so-called tension and division that exists between Latino and African American families in this city doesn't exist. And the three students or three recent students are going to talk about that a little bit. What exists is that there is an intentional attack on our community of color in Pasadena that's equally attacking both African American and Latino families.
Where do you think that's coming from?
I think it's coming from white Pasadena. I think.
Well, now, even after that meeting, there were memos being sent out in the Latino community saying that, what the Journal was doing was basically sending hate mail. And do you see it that way? Do you think that's how it happened?
Well, I know probably the people who sent those emails, and I've had discussions and arguments with them, and I think they're entitled to their opinion, just as I think Mr. Hopkins is entitled to his opinion. And I think the energy about these opinions is good. It's great to have the energy. We sat in that meeting for 3 or 4 hours. We all sat there, and many of us have sworn off meetings because of their tediousness and ineffectiveness. But we sat there because we believe, obviously, and everybody in the room believes in making sure the kids are engaged, but we believe in the energy that's there. And the energy that's there in that meeting has to be focused. It has to be directed in the proper direction.
Well, as we were talking to a lot of people in the community about this, from across the board, whether it didn't matter which group I talked to. It was always, this is about the kids. Everyone has to come together about the kids. The school district right now is failing the kids, but we can come together. And it's not about race. I kept hearing that a number of times. But then the issues about race would eventually come out. And I think that's why an incident like Coach Ken Howard, that's why it's been such a catalyst to talk about these issues, which I think are important to discuss. But let's go with Ishmael Trone. You have a student at PUSD.
Yes, I have Naomi, my daughter. She's in the 10th grade at PHS currently. And it's great that Joe Hopkins did call that Black Male March to PUSD to raise these issues and bring them to the forefront. These are topics and concerns that have to be brought out into the community. It has to be addressed to the PUSD board members so that individuals like myself with children in the school can really think about what's being discussed, what's actually taking place in school beyond our children. As stakeholders in the community, we only focus on our children that we have in school. But as an individual that volunteer with nonprofit organizations that are assisting students in school make the right choices for themselves versus their education, what they're going to do when they're out of school, out in the streets, hanging out, the people that they hang out with, and the career choices that they have to make in the future. So there has to be a balance. There is concerns on both sides, not just with the Latino community and the African American community, but you have the Armenian and the Asian community out there also that have concerns with the PUSD and the current state of the education.
Now, do you think, though, are these programs that was one of the main issues that was brought up in the meetings, is that, it's all about the kids, but if you're not providing the right programs for the kids and these programs aren't being funded equally, that's how a lot of these kids are being left behind.
Well, we have different types of programs. You have PUSD-funded programs, in which that's what the ones you're talking about. But then you have the nonprofit sector out there that have to go and after additional funding in the form of grants. And, which programs are effective? That's what's important right now. And parent participation, the choices that these students make are extremely important right now. So it's great that the march took place. It's great that we're in the studio today having this discussion about the state of our education in the city of Pasadena. However, we want to make sure that this conversation doesn't spill over into the community, because who's going to be ultimately affected? The students, the young people.
Well, exactly, and that's part of what a lot of people have been talking about as well, is that, everyone's talking about, there's no racial issues, the kids are getting along great, but from what the kids are seeing with the community leaders, even at that community meeting, the board meeting, it seemed like African Americans sat on one side, Latino families sat on another side. So are these communities able to come together, and what kinds of lessons are they teaching the kids?
This is the city of Pasadena. We live in a melting pot. If you were born in Pasadena, if you went to elementary school, junior high school in Pasadena, you're going to associate with different races. That's just how Pasadena is. And Mr. Hopkins raised that point as soon as he went up to the podium, and he showed the division that was taking place amongst the adults that were there. There's commonalities. Everyone wants safe neighborhoods. We want better education. We have to come to the table. There needs to be calm dialogue to take place in order to come up with real solutions with these issues and challenges that we're faced with.
What do you think as far as, what we're talking about is with the community leaders, what kinds of lessons are they teaching the kids?
I think they're teaching great lessons of opening your mouth and advocating for yourself and advocating for the people you care about. And I think, this is a challenging thing. I mean, in Pasadena, we have lost 1 out of 5 black people in the last 10 years. From 2000 to 2010, as a matter of public law, there are 1 out of 5 less black people. Now, how many people can survive without your thumb on your hand, right? Can you survive without your thumb? You need all 5 fingers. And our African-American neighborhoods and communities has been one of the most important parts of our society and our community here. It is the gift of our society, and our most famous resident is African American, Jackie Robinson. And the fact that 1 out of 5 black people in this school district in this city are no longer here from 2000 to 2010 really cannot be ignored, as much as people like to ignore it. We also are the wealthiest community of our size in the world, and there's a large community, mostly all whites, who left the school district. So if you want to talk about what's happened to the school district and why there's less funding, you look at those 2 factors. 30% of Pasadena families send their kids to private school. It's the largest number of private school attendance per capita in the world. I mean, in this country, probably not in the world, probably in the world. 30%. 30% of ADA funding is no longer in our schools. And then you take out 1/5 of all the African American kids that were here 10 years ago. And that's where your funding problem comes from.
Okay. Well, we're going to go to that live call from a caller, Mike. Mike, thanks for joining our show.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Who is this again?
Well, this is Sehnita Joshua Mattison with
Hi,
Content News.
Sehnita.
Is this Mike
you?
Alexander?
Good to talk to you again.
All right. Well, nice to have you. What do you have for us, Mike?
Well, I spoke with Tammy earlier, and she asked me to call in and comment on a number of PUSD issues. And I listened to the last caller there, and my point would be this, is that we need to get black children, minority children, all children out of a failing school system. Mm-hmm. We need to get them out of there not next year or 5 years from now. We don't need to wait on funding.
And where do we put them?
Where we put them, we give them a scholarship and let them go to the same private schools that the folks of wealthy Pasadenans go to.
And with those, are you saying fully funded scholarships?
Absolutely, why not?
And where do those scholarships come from?
Well, from the same funds that they're wasting on the current mismanaged system. They've got the money. It comes from taxpayers.
Okay.
Your caller's paying it. I'm paying it. Everybody's paying it.
Okay. What do you think about that, Philip? Mike's idea.
That's completely crazy. I mean, the Pasadena School District, the schools in Pasadena are the only place for kids to be properly educated, because that's the only place where they can actually practice racial harmony and racial integration, and that is the most important education that can be given to them. Pasadena, of all places, is the center of that issue, being the only one of 3 northern cities that was forcibly desegregated.
How much more money? How much more time is it going to take? And how much longer do black children and other children in failing schools have to stay in your system?
Well, Mike, let me ask you a quick question now with even the current, budget cuts that go on and money being taken away from the schools. So if there are budget cuts in the future with your system and those scholarships are taken away, then what's next for those students?
Those students are leaving. They won't cost the district anything. But I want to go back. I want to ask the gentleman. I'm sorry, I don't know your name, sir. But I'd like to ask the gentleman, how much more money, how much longer before the kids are in the kind of school that you're talking about?
When you're at Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday, Mike, and your pie is about the size of a nickel, and you're wondering why you're not getting more pie, that'll help you answer that question, Mike. We need to actually spend. Okay. We need to spend what we used to spend when we sent white kids to public school. That's what we need to spend. California used to be number one. And
hold it. Stop right there.
Okay.
Stop right there.
Well, that's all the time we have for this conversation, Mike. We do appreciate you calling in, and I think what you are raising is a bigger issue that we will need to address another time. So we want you back in studio, Mike.
Let's get at it, because I'm just as worried about those kids as he is. Trust me.
Absolutely, and that's why we appreciate you calling in.
You're welcome.
Thank you again, Mike.
Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Well, in our limited time and research, we found articles about race issues in the PUSD, and most notably at John Muir High School, at least to the 60s, and of course there was integration and busing issues. A more current incident happened when current PUSD board member and then teacher Scott Phelps claimed that the majority of students who were failing and disruptive at school were black. In 2007, students were at the height of a dispute when several black students and Latino students got in a fight that landed 11 students in jail. And most recently, as we mentioned, Coach Ken Howard found himself accused of allegedly roughing up a Latino student on campus. That issue may have caused a division among some African Americans and some Latinos, but more than anything, the absence of their head coach is having an impact on the football team. CCN's Jairo Romero interviewed Denzel Talaferro, a junior on the team, and here's what he had to say.
Has Coach Ken Howard's absence affected your football team?
Well, I mean, I want to say it didn't, but it has just a little bit, but I try to keep everybody's mind focused off it.
How do you think the coach handled the situation with your fellow student?
I think he did what he had to and what he was taught to do, because he used to be a security guard, and I believe he handled it the best way it could have been handled.
How do you think the school handled the situation with him placing him on administrative leave?
I mean, necessarily with the parents and all that, that's probably something they would have had to do anyway, but I believe it could have been handled just a little bit differently and could have took a little bit more responsibility.
Do you know if race was involved in the incident?
Nah, race wasn't involved at all. If it would have been African-American kid doing the same thing, it would have been the same outcome.
And has there been an increase in racial tension at all on your campus?
Nah, not at all. I thought it would be, but it was nothing after it. It kind of just died down and everybody wanted them back.
So have you guys dedicated any of your games to Coach Ken at all?
Yeah, we've been dedicating the rest of the season. Every game that we done played since then has been dedicated to him. Our franchise pass last year and also the Taekwondo glass.
Well, we appreciate Hyra getting that and having Denzel speak on camera. But who would know more about issues on their campuses than students themselves? Let's find out about their thoughts. We have 3 students who actually are alumni of the PUSD. We have Alex, Javier, and Marisol. And I'd like for each of you to get up and tell us a little bit about the campus and your experience there. It's just going to have a brief amount of time, but if you could tell us about your issues with race on campus. If you could stand up, Al.
Okay, yeah. The way I see it is that like it's a big similarity between blacks and Mexicans, bro. And when like you funding and the PSD is funding funding Hispanics and not African Americans, I think it's a jealousy factor. You know what I'm saying? So and it's a lot of tension and conflict that comes from that, you know, because...
Do you feel that there are enrichment programs for blacks on campus, black students?
Not really, you know what I'm saying? Not as much as I think they're giving the Hispanics, and they trying to, I guess, sweep it under the rug. But I'm gonna say like this, I got out of jail recently, and in there is politics between blacks and Mexicans. They can't mingle with each other, or they can't coexist with each other. You know, they can't speak, we can't do nothing. And I fought my own people. I fought blacks because I was going against that logic. Because if you separate two races of people that's so similar, that causes confusion throughout the whole. It's a paradigm that we need to shatter. And it's psychological warfare.
Do you think that's coming from on top, from the leaders and from the
It's
parents?
coming from, the government. And I even told the police, the government is pimping them. It's telling them, it's basically brainwashing them to inflict these rules and beat me, a man that's standing up for equal rights and integration.
Javier, how do you think race has played out at PUSD?
Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to speak on the participants' point of view instead of the viewers. I was born in Pasadena, Huntington Hospital. I went to Washington Middle School from 1st grade to 8th grade. And there's no conflict. There is no general conflict. Everybody's a man, and you make your decisions, and you live with those consequences. You know, conflict brings us together. After we fight, we squash it. That's it. And we go home, we worry about goals that we got to achieve. We ain't got time to be worried about all that. We got to worry about conflicts, personal conflict. We ain't worried about hate. We don't go to sleep thinking that, we hate that person. But when we wake up the next morning, that's what you hear. You hear there's a racial conflict because they don't want to attack it as a poverty conflict or as an environment conflict, because then you'll have all these youngsters thinking about fixing the environment and putting money in their pocket and making something for themselves. We ain't got to worry about we ain't waiting for you guys to see what are you going to do with our future. We know what we're going to do with our future.
Okay. Well, Marisol, we have you. If you could give us your thoughts. How do you think race plays into the PUSD? Do you think it keeps people from excelling as far as the programs offered?
As it becomes familiar to everyone, I was at that meeting at the PUSD, and one of the things that I wanted to comment on is that there was a major division that day, and it was unfortunate because there was parents that were Hispanic on one side, parents that were Latino on the other, and that's the community we are already growing in. So as a young adult, I'm not seeing we all stand for each other. They all would go to the podium and they would all say the same thing, even though the Latino parents were not speaking according to, they were not giving the same amount of speakers, correct? But even where I was sitting at, I kept hearing the same thing. We want the same education. We want the same rights. We want equality. But you know what? everyone was saying it in their own format, but it was the same thing I was hearing from the black side to the Hispanic side. It's the same.
But so each community is fighting for, you know,
The
equal
same
and
thing.
justice, the same things. But do you think that what the school district is offering is equal to both communities?
To me, it's if you're going to go in there and you're going to talk to the parents are going to say, who's involved? Okay. I go to a Head Start and parents ask for volunteers. The teachers ask for volunteers, I'm sorry. I go in there and there's maybe 2 African Americans and there's 8 parents Hispanic. That's a difference. That's something that says, okay, well, what's going on? Who's involved? Solutions here, parents. Why aren't you involved with the students' education? My mom used to go to my elementary school. My mom used to go to my middle school. My mom used to even sit with me at Mr. Phelps' class just to make sure that I was getting a good grade. Mm-hmm. Not every day, of course, but she was there. Okay. So that tells you a lot.
Well, Marisol, we really appreciate what you had to say, and Javier and Alex as well. I think you were all very well spoken and a great example of PUSD. And let's bring it back here. Marisol had talked about solutions. What do you think are some of the solutions that can help these communities get the programs that they need to close the achievement gap? What do you think are some solutions that you'd like to see?
I'd love to see, the model that exists in the Pasadena Unified School District applied across the board. I'd like to see the students that are growing up together in our school system, including my daughter who's in 2nd grade at McKinley School. There's just so much racial harmony, so much non-racial discord going on in that school district, in that school in particular, in her class in particular, in her after-school program. And to have that then permeated out so that we're all working together is the goal is our goal, right? That's our goal. That's Martin's goal, and that's all of our goal is to start getting along, working with each other, and being with each other. And I think making our students emissaries to white Pasadena, for example, so that we can liberate white Pasadena from their entrenchment.
All right, we only have a few minutes, so let's go for Ishmael. What do you think are some solutions you'd like to see PUSD implement?
Continue to pressure on the PUSD board members. Okay. PUSD board members need to continue to support each other, communicate about the commonalities that the entire city of Pasadena has with the educational system. Parents need to stay engaged with their children.
I think
raise the bar. It's extremely important. And as adults, we need to continue to mentor and work with our young people. Trust them. Don't hold their hands every step of the way through school because they just can't learn how to do it on their own when they're given the opportunity. And as nonprofit grassroots organizations, we need to continue to be innovative and be effective in the programs that we're offering.
Okay. Well, I think you had some great ideas that we definitely need to expand on. We'll need much more time on that. And also talking about the board, I know that a lot of the problems that have been happening are the contentions that are on the board itself. And, at some point we need to have a conversation just about the board itself.
Exactly.
And what's going on. There's a lot of great people, like you said, nonprofits that are working to make change, but we need it to happen sooner because we can't let a generation go.
Slip away.
Each child is important, and
exactly.
We can't just wait for the next generation. Well, this show will be posted on Crown City News website archives page and on the YouTube Crown City News channel this week. Please continue the discussion there. And also there are other stories we weren't able to get to that are on our website, crowncitynews.com/news. Please read and watch those stories and let us know your thoughts and comments on those sections and on this show as well. Well, that's all we have for this newscast. Thanks to the students that went on camera for us, and thanks to Phillip Koebel, who joined us, and Ishmael Trone. Thanks to all of our sponsors, including Southern California Edison, Wink Marketing, and the Pasadena Enterprise Center office building with available space. Thanks also to the CCN crew. They make this show possible. But finally, we thank you for watching CCN Crown City News. Join us each week as we cover the news in Pasadena and the San Gabriel Valley. For all of us here at CCN, I'm Sehnita Joshua Mattison. Have a great week and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Thank you. Join us for our 4th annual Christmas in the Village, Saturday, December 10th, 6 p.m. at La Caravana, 1306 North Lake Avenue, Pasadena, honoring Paul Little. Visit nlvba.org.